Hello everyone, you are watching a fragment of the Countdown program from February 13, 2023. Today is Monday. See the full version on Patreon. And thanks to everyone who is becoming our patrons right now. And I will start with an important message that needs to be conveyed to the leadership of the armed forces of Ukraine, and not only to them. According to our insider, the leadership of the North Caucasian Military District in Rostov-on-Don formed a group of specialists in the field of chemical safety. The exact size of this group is unknown, but it is known for sure that a few days ago it was sent to Luhansk. Our insider does not rule out that the leadership of Russia, the Ministry of Defense and the North Caucasus Military District are preparing a special operation to use chemical weapons in the Luhansk region, and maybe not only there. Before the first anniversary of the war, negative assessments of the results of the invasion are heard more and more often. Moreover, within Russia itself, everyone is already accustomed to the whining of the terrorist Gherkin Strelkov and the cautious moans of the Parquet General Avasov. And then Lieutenant General of the SVR Reshetnikov opened his mouth, who stated that the tasks of the first stage of the invasion were not fulfilled. I believe that the miscalculations were mostly political, although also military, underestimation of the enemy, misunderstanding of the mood and functioning of this territory, one might say, a half-established state, Reshetnikov said. There were, most likely, unjustified hopes and plans. We were going to enter Kyiv, Kharkiv, to help come to power, as it was then considered reasonable representatives of the Ukrainian state. But what happened? It happened, the end of the quote. It was not possible to devour Ukraine, and the frustrated cannibal makes a helpless gesture, not quite understanding what to do now. In the SVR itself, they are frightened by American special operations inside Russia. Allegedly, the United States plans to send militants to the Russian Federation and the CIS to carry out terrorist attacks against diplomats, civil servants, security officials and the military. The deeper the failures, the louder the speeches that the whole problem is in Putin and his entourage are heard within the system. And if the system has not yet entered into a hard clinch with Putin's group, then this is just for now. Sooner or later, it will happen, and the more clearly the prospects of defeat appear on the horizon, the more irresistible will be Putin's desire to end everything with one blow, and the system's desire to remove Putin for the sake of its own survival. Already, Yashin's canned food has learned the miracles of Navalny and gave an interview from the prison to the enemy edition of Time. I want to call the world community to wisdom, moaned the Putin fighter. Refrain from humiliating Russians. I believe that the Russians can become allies of the free world against the tyrant. Reach out your hand to my fellow citizens. End of quote. That is, the system does not sleep, sending signals to the world that it is not so finished. Say, all you have to do is remove Putin's gang, and the Russians will immediately enter the mind. True, for some reason, the Russians who left the cave hell are in no hurry to protest. It is important to oppose the war, but the Russians who left for the EU do not do this, writes journalist Masha Myers in Deutsche Welle. And such passivity of the Russians raises questions. True, Masha Myers herself is silent about the fact that from 2010 to 2018 she headed the Directorate of Internet Resources of the Zvezda television and radio company of the Russian Ministry of Defense. So the good Russian journalist is smeared in fascism to the very top. However, fear at the very top causes a vibration along the entire vertical, which no longer seems so monolithic. Putin introduced the president of the Kurchatov Institute, Mikhail Kovalchuk, to the Security Council, which clearly weakened the influence of Nikolai Patrushev. The gangsters, scattered vertically, are expecting drastic personnel changes following the leader's message. In the context of a shrinking resource base, contradictions are growing among the Bando elites and the topics of political requests are aggravated. A focus on industry now seems more important than a focus on the financial sector. Today Putin met with Zyuganov and Slutsky, trying to catch the secret expectations of the factional party lords. It is taking into account the moods and wishes of these maggots that the direction of the main vector will be determined. In the meantime, Foreign Minister Lavrov has been dispatched to the State Duma, who will speak at Okotny Riyadh on February 15, after which he will report to the Führer about the mood prevailing there. The lower forms of fascist life are burned out by uncertainty. 45% expect important decisions and answers to questions about the course of the war from the upcoming address. 42% do not expect anything at all. Monetics no longer model requests. For them, the answer is important. If we go further, then where? And if we stop and return, then with whom do we live further? Because everyone understands that Putin without Crimea and Donbass is a political corpse that will inevitably turn into a real corpse. Become our patrons now and look further in this program. Gul Prigozhin again uncovered a sledgehammer and executed another fugitive from his PMC. The United States again called on its citizens to urgently leave Russia due to the threat of mobilization. Dmitry Peskov confirmed that Americans with a second citizenship of the Russian Federation will be subject to mobilization as Russians. Thus, the Kremlin wants to cover up U.S. citizens in the war against Ukraine. Moldovan President Maia Sandu spoke about the short-term plan of the Kremlin, which, with the help of sabotage, will try to destabilize the situation in Moldova and bring to power a puppet government that will continue to use Moldova in the war against Ukraine. The last traces of cooperation with Russia are being actively shed by its recent partners and friends. Italy will stop consuming gas from the Russian Federation, and India refuses to buy Russian military helicopters and aircraft. And that's all for today. See the full version of the program on the Patreon resource. There are even more topics and news. And thanks to everyone who is becoming our patrons right now. Hugs to all. See you on Thursday. Glory to Ukraine.